Good evening, good afternoon. Welcome back to High Top Sports Oregon. I'm Cody the Professor. We got Derek the Duck for a 2:30 kickoff today. Our preview to the Ducks versus Michigan should be a good one. Super excited. But first, I want to thank our proud sponsors, BetUS. Right now, at BetUS, with a code YouTube 150, get 150% back on your first deposit, 125% back on your second deposit, up to $2,000. Go check them out at betus.com. We will do a little bit of gambling here about midway through, but let's go ahead get into the main event. Ducks versus Michigan, and a team they should beat, but a Michigan team that can literally run the game away. With the running clock and rules like that, this is a game that really favors towards Michigan running attack.
Yeah, 100%. It's just we've seen all year how Michigan's going to handle this game. We kind of talked about it briefly before we jumped on the podcast today. What they're going to try to do is they're going to try to, go by their own pace, really control the clock today. Obviously, they understand what Oregon brings on the offensive side of the ball, and they understand that they're only going to be able to keep that offense at bay for so long. And, Michigan, just given that they can't throw a forward pass to save their program's existence, they understand that if they have any chance of winning this game, clock management is going to be the single biggest factor for them today.
For sure. So on the offensive side, you're either going to run it at two paces. Oregon's going to match that level, and with that Wilstein offense, we have seen it. They can put a 13, 14, 15, 16, 8, 9, 10 minute drive together and score, or they need to score fast and get up quick. Three touchdowns, the game's over. So Oregon could match that pace with that Wilstein offense, a 10, 11, 12, 13 play drive down the field, soaking up 6, 7, 8 minutes. Um, but what would you prefer? Would you prefer to score quick, get up by three touchdowns early, and then Michigan's not built to come back, or do you kind of match their tempo?
Yeah, no, in my ideal world today, what I would like to see is Will Stein maintain a Will Stein's offensive pace. It's one of those things where it kind of works twofold in your favor. For one, it keeps Oregon in a comfortable situation. As we've seen for the vast majority of the season, we know what type of tempo they like to run and where that offense tends to thrive in terms of how fast they're moving. So I'd like to see them, maintain that tempo. But twofold, Michigan is not designed to come back. If they somehow get down by three touchdowns, fairly early on in this game, they're going to have to lean on the pass game. And the pass game is very, very far from, a positive of this Michigan offense. Their bread and butter is obviously running the ball and kind of just chipping away at the clock like we had talked about. And if they're forced to kind of get off of that game plan, kind of like we saw in a Texas game, right? Again, when they were playing Texas, they found themselves down early and they had to try to come back using the pass game, and the more they did so, the less effective they got. So if Oregon's able to maintain their typical pace, put up the points that we know they're capable of putting up, even on a good Michigan defense, I think if they're able to do so, I don't think Michigan's going to be able to score enough points today to keep up with the Ducks. So I would absolutely love to see a quicker pace tempo.
Gotcha. So let's go ahead and go to keys of the offense today for a big win for the Ducks. Dylan Gabriel, of course. Keep the chain gang moving. You gotta pick up those third and shorts. Every drive is gonna count, especially with the style of play of Michigan. And keep control of the clock. I say don't score too quickly, but you still need to score. And then we have Jordan James protect the ball. They're going to try to strip the ball out, catch well out of the backfield. I think that's going to be big on some of those second and 7. You kind of drop it out to him in the backfield, and then pass blocking is going to be a key to win. And then Evan Stewart catch those third and short passes. He's got to show up today. And then Michigan's defense is susceptible for the double move. Go ahead, take advantage of that. We've seen that before with Evan Stewart and that flash of big playability. It could be one of those that they're driving down with like 2 minutes left in the second before the half, and you hit them with a double move for a tutty. What do you think, Derek?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. I'll start with that Michigan defense and their pass susceptibility. So obviously, we know that they are a great pass defense. Michigan has a very formidable defense. It is going to be one of the better pass Ds that Oregon plays this year, in addition to the Ohio State game. With that being said, Will Johnson obviously did not play last week, and his status is a little bit up in the air for today as to what his role is going to look like. So that could be a major loss for the Michigan secondary. But also, like you mentioned with Evan Stewart, and it's not even just Evan Stewart, it's the Tez Johnsons, it's the Trayshawn Holdens of the world who are going to get their opportunity to show that twitchy speed that they possess on the outside. And like you said, they are susceptible to the double move, which bodes really well for the skill set of Oregon's receivers. Um, I think, if they are going to win this game, obviously we want to see the run game be successful. We know it's something that has to be successful, right? Because the best part of
Yeah.
Michigan's defense statistically this year has been that run defense. So if you're able to move the ball effectively on the ground and you're already looking at a pass defense who has some holes or, might be missing a key piece like Will Johnson or just has to defend three receivers that are extremely twitchy and fast in space, that bodes really well for the Ducks offense. So, yeah, kind of like
I would expect I would
James
expect
today is going to be a little more important.
you there.
Yeah, keep going.
I would expect the defense to play a lot of
Yeah.
probably man today, but off ball man. So you're 10 yards off the ball or 7 yards off the ball, and they're going to try to keep everything in front of them, and they're gonna try to the DBs are going to try to drive on those shorter routes. That's why I was thinking the double move. You hit them with a double move down the sideline, and it could be big. All right, defense keys on the defense. Devin Jackson, my guy. Stop. You got to stop the run. Flow to the hole and make sure that you do not get sucked up by those offensive linemen. With them running the ball so much, they're very good at this, getting to the second level. You got to shed the blocks, hand fight, and do not get washed up with those offensive linemen making it to the second level. They will make it to the second level. On defensive line, Mateo, you got to be good in run support. When a gap opens, you got to be able to shoot it. And then watch out for a lot of pulls and counters with that offensive line from Michigan. Just be eyes up and susceptible. Don't get kind of caught to where you're getting pushed open and you got a gaping hole. And then Nico Reed, he's going to have to watch for the tight end. That is a guy that they do use sometimes down the seam when they try to throw a forward pass. And then he's got to be able to read the run and don't let him bounce it outside on those counter plays.
Yeah, 100%. So this is the best cumulatively offensive line that Oregon will be facing this year. Michigan has a wonderful offensive line. It has been one of the bright spots of their team this year, albeit they haven't quite been who they were last year. But to your point, it's mightily important, obviously, to stop the run. But, a guy like Mateo, who's once again stepping in for Jordan Birch, who we could actually see return today, that's going to be a game time decision for the Ducks. So that could be another massive piece. But between him and Derek Harmon on the interior, kind of getting that pressure and forcing Michigan to, have to pivot from their original game plan. That's where Oregon's going to be successful today. When Michigan is forced to throw that forward pass, kind of like you said to Colson Loveland, who is absolutely their number one target from the tight end position. Fortunately for the Ducks, like we talked about in last week's game, I think the nickel position has been their most consistent position all year, offensively or defensively. Brandon Johnson and Nico Reed have been phenomenal in those roles. Once again, we were able to see it last week where Nico Reed really had a nice breakout game against Illinois, and I think that's going to be massive moving forward this week because of what they're able to do with a Brandon Johnson. Reed, but I think today's game is where Brandon Johnson's name is going to make himself more felt just due to the fact that he is a little more effective, a little more aggressive in that run game, and they tend to use him a little more in those run stoppage situations. So, yeah, it's Oregon's defense, they have their work cut out for them. They know exactly what they need to do today. And like you said, it all starts with that run game and not getting sucked up by that offensive line because Michigan's offensive line, like I said, is the best one they will face this year, at least to this point.
Yeah, a game like this, you could literally have your nickel back with linebacker tackle numbers today. As you were saying, those guys have got to step up. Probably the best position that we've seen actually step up this year is that nickel position on defense. But it's going to be one of those games where they are going to have a bunch of tackles. All right, guys, let's go ahead. Let's do a little gambling. All right, let's do a little gambling today. Our sponsor, BetUS, go ahead, check them out at betus.com. right now. Use the code YouTube150. Get 150% back on your first deposit, 125 on your second deposit, up to $2,000. That is up to $2,000 with the code YouTube150. Go ahead, check them out at BetUS. Right now, we got Indiana, Michigan State. That's our game of the week. 7.5. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna pound Indiana and the under of 53 over Michigan State. I think Childs is just too wishy-washy with that Michigan State offense. What do you think?
I would echo that very same bet. I really like that a lot. Indiana is getting their starting quarterback back today. And kind of like you said, Michigan State, they've shown flashes. Aiden Childs is going to be a great quarterback moving forward, but his first year in the Michigan State offense, obviously Jonathan Smith has a lot of rebuilding to do, and that's been made very apparent on the field. Yeah, give me the Hoosiers. Give me the under as well. I just don't think Michigan State's going to be able to put up the points that they want to. And, Michigan State does have a formidable enough defense where I don't think Indiana's going to score 50 by themselves on them. So, yeah, I love the bet.
For sure, for sure. All right, guys, let's go ahead. We're gonna wrap it up. What are we thinking score wise of this Ducks versus Michigan game? And obviously, we want a big win for the Ducks. Keep it going. This will be a big win in the Big Ten, and a future possible rivalry being born today.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be one of those games where Oregon's going to put up 50 points, for a couple of reasons. One, this is a solid defense, and two, like we had echoed all show, Michigan's really going to do their part to be able to control the clock as the best they can. I would go with the score somewhere around that 31-17 Oregon. It'll be a bit closer than some people think just because of what Michigan's going to try to do with their offense, how they're going to try to stymie, the tempo of the game. But ultimately, I think there's too much firepower on the Ducks offense, and still to this day, the Ducks have the best defense on the field today. So give me the Ducks in a fairly close game, but I think they get it done today in the Big House.
For sure. So I'm gonna take the Ducks. Obviously, I think there's just way too much offensive firepower. Give me 35. 35 to like 14. I think that Michigan. Yeah, I think Michigan's not gonna have a not gonna with them not being able to throw laterally down the field. I think it's gonna be a big problem. But yeah, I think it's gonna be a little bit better win. I think the Ducks they get out early, they get 2 scores early, and then towards the fourth quarter they really start lighting it up.
That very well could be. It's been a pattern that we've seen all year where they jump out to a big lead in the first half, and then the second half, Dan decides to throw it in cruise control. I would like to see one game where they tie it all together. And what better game than a nationally televised game against the reigning national champions in the Big House? So I'd love to see a big Duck win today.
For sure. All right, guys, we will see you later. We will have the post-game video. That'll drop Sunday. We will see you guys later. I'm Cody the Professor with High Top Sports Oregon. We have Derek the Duck and our pride sponsors, BetUS. We are powered by BetUS, and we will see you later.